Hi, this is Dr. Jim Fazone. I'm here with Gary Mattia, and you are in the principal's office.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Fazone, principal of the SciPEC Center. I'm here with Gary Mattia. He's principal of the Assipink Center. We also have with us Nick Sikowski. He's our director and he's our producer. And you are in the principal's office. Welcome. We have some interesting things today, I think. And this show is for parents. So students, if you're in the room right now, go get your parents and bring them in. You can certainly watch, but this is more of our show dedicated to parents. And parents, we're going to be going over today some interesting and fun ways of helping your children improve their student achievement, and something I think you're going to find exciting. Today, we're going to talk about how to get your child to talk about school. And Mr. Mattia, I know we have a list here of some things and some strategies that our parents can use. Why don't you tell our parents about some of them? I see we have a list, and number one, we have what's on that list that you see that might be important?
One of the first things we need to talk about and get the kids talking is ask open-ended questions. So if you ask a question, that can be answered with one word, yes or no. That's exactly what you're going to get, a one-word answer. So an example of an open-ended question would be, what was the best thing you did at school today? And that will give you the students something to talk about, and it'll be more than a one-word answer. Another thing is, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Another thing is start with a factual observation. In other words, students often have a hard time answering questions that seem to come out of the blue. So making an observation gives your child something to relate to. An example of that is, I know you have a lot more kids in your class this year. What's that like? So you can get them talking about that as well.
I have one that says, share something about yourself. When someone tells you about themselves, it's natural to want to do that in return. Share something with your child and see what you get back. And I can tell you that more recently, when I was older, my mother started sharing things with me about when she was a child that she hadn't shared before. Sometimes I think when our children get older and they're adults, we feel that we can have better conversations with them. But share something fun, interesting. You were a child not too long ago. I was a child probably much longer ago. But the same kind of stuff happened when we were young and when George Washington was young, I'm sure. Another thing we want to do, here's an example of sharing something about yourself. We always play dodgeball at recess. What do you and your friends like to do? So talk about that, and I think your children will tell you some interesting things that happen during the day between those classes at what we call the common times, when they arrive on the bus, when they go to lunch, when the classes are changing, when they get on the bus to come home. One other one I'll talk about is avoid negative questions. If you think something isn't going well, your question may have come out in a negative way, with emotion packed with words. Like sad or mean. Ask a positive question in a positive way. Mr. Mattia, any other thoughts? I think we have a different list also.
I think what we're trying to establish, and we were parents once when our kids were younger in school age, but they've grown and moved on. But some of these keys to get them talking, I think, are very important. It makes you feel to your children that you're part of what they're doing. And I think that's really important. But they do it instead of this, try this, which is really always pretty cool. So instead of asking your student, your child, was school fun today? Why don't you try this? What was the best thing you did at school? So it opens it up a little bit better and makes it a little bit easier to understand. Another one. Go ahead, Mr. Dr.
No, I was going to say, remember, I had three children, and the two boys were kind of different. My first one, I'd say, Will, what did you do when we went to school today? And he would just go on and on and on for the next hour and a half telling me everything he did. The other one, I'd say, Andrew, how was school today? That was good. What did you do? See, that's why I hate talking with you, Dad. You always ask too many questions. So some kids are going to view these things differently, and we want to, try to make it so it's fun for them. You know your kids better than we do. We're just trying to come up with some suggestions. But go ahead, Mr. Mateo.
Another thing was another example of a question. Instead of this, try this. How was lunch? And instead of asking that, you could say, "What are kids? Which kids are sitting near you at lunch?" You could talk about that a little bit, or instead of asking your child, "Was your teacher nice?" You can ask them, "What was the most interesting thing your teacher said today?" So it opens up for more conversation and different topics, I think. Jim, do you have anything you want to add to those?
Yes, sometimes when the kids get together, they come up with some nice discussions. You get some friends over the house. Many times I know they want to be by themselves talking privately. Obviously, that's the case. But sometimes they'll share some things with you and, enjoy that conversation. Enjoy the kids. Enjoy them while they're young. My kids are all grown and they live somewhere else. I look fondly back on those times when the kids were in the house and we were having discussions. And my kids always liked talking to my wife better because I was a little bit too judgmental and telling them what they were doing wrong. But we're all human. But discussing now, I do want to add this right now. Put this in. There is also an academic piece to this. There's a lot of research on discussion between parents and children and improving student achievement. Remember, the core curriculum content standards are reading, writing, listening, speaking, and observing. And when we get into discussion, when we're talking, we're using our language, we're discussing, we're listening, we're hitting a lot of those content standards by merely talking to our children using vocabulary. So keep that in mind. It's always good when you are talking with the kids. It's probably, not so good if you haven't talked to them in a while. Go ahead, Mr. Mateo.
Well, I think it's important that you're phrasing your questions in ways that invite your child to talk. Don't expect every question to result in a long, detailed, explanation. Your job is to try and just get them to open up and talk about what's going on in school today. And remember, there's some incidents that are pretty important, and for that, you're going to have to use a more direct response and a more direct question to get that information from your child.
Yeah, we are parents at the end of the day, and we are the ones who are the disciplinarian in the home, and we're trying to teach the children right from wrong, but make that fun discussion and talk about daily things that aren't so contentious, separate from when you may have to correct your child.
I think that's good.
We have anything else for today?
I don't think so.
Just remind our parents to keep talking with their kids, keep that good relationship, and it never stops. I still call my kids on the phone every day, so enjoy it now while they're young. It's fun to have kids around the house.
And remember, make sure your son or daughter is reaching out to his classroom teacher if there's any difficulties with the virtual education. Make sure they're signing in every day, because signing in is how we take attendance. If there's any difficulties, have them reach out. And let's keep this going. I think we've been doing very, very well, surprisingly well with the virtual aspect of the education. So we'll keep it on going, and we'll see what the future brings.
Yeah, and always, as Mr. Mattia said, keep those lines of communication between you and the teacher open if there's ever any concerns, or maybe just some check in. And you can always call Mr. Mattia or myself. You see our phone numbers, and you can always email us, text us, whatever you'd like to do. So for Mr. Mattia and for Nick Sikowski, I'm Dr. Jim Fazone, and we will see you next week in the principal's office. Bye-bye.